welcome to another green marble crochet tutorial. For this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make a very simple granny circle inspired summer beach dress using this yarn that I salvaged from a previous design. It's a mondial and it's 50% cotton, 47% microfiber and 3% polyester met, and it's 50 grams at 175 meters. So they recommend using a 3 or a 4 millimeter hook. I'm going to be using a 3.5. So yeah, just that. Yeah, so this is really quick, really simple to make, really pretty, really cute. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Alright, so something else. Okay, if you like the video, please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and join me for some more tutorials. That would be really awesome. Also, I'm going to be adding my Patreon link in the description below. If you'd like to help me support my channel, that would be amazing. And a big thank you to my patron Sherry. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your help. I'm really grateful. And I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah. Something else I wanted to mention was I will be adding all the written patterns for my designs, all of them, to my Patreon. So that's an added thing. And there'll be other stuff that I'll be adding to Patreon as well. But starting tomorrow, I'm going to be uploading a written pattern. And I'm going to go day by day until they're all uploaded onto Patreon. But yeah, that's where you'll find the written patterns for all of the designs. So yes, that's going to be something fun. Alright, don't think there's much more we can say, or much more than I need to say. Let's just get straight into making the dress. Alright, now to begin, let's find the end of our yarn and begin by making a slip knot. So to make a slip knot, just like that. Now adjust the knot to the hook, and we're going to begin by chaining 5. So make a chain of 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright. Now, we're going to slip stitch into the first chain, so that one just there, slip stitching into the first chain to make a chain circle, just like that. Alright, now, next step is to chain up 2, and we're going to put 15 double crochets into the center of that chain circle. So, finding the center, 15 double crochets, so that's 1 and 2, so 15 double crochets. Okay, now that I've done those 15 double crochets, it's going to look like that, and I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that beginning chain 2. So slip stitching into the chain 2, and from there we are going to chain up 2, and we're going to be putting a puff stitch into all 16 stitches around. So that chain 2, that first chain 2, acts as a stitch. So to do a puff stitch, that's yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, all into the same stitch, and if you count there'll be 7 loops on the hook. Then it's yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, and chain 1. And we're going to be doing that into all 16 stitches around. So let's do that again together. It's yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, chain 1. So do that for all 16 stitches around, and we'll meet back up and I'll show you where to go from there. Alright, now that I've finished all 16 of those puff stitches, I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 2 at the beginning to close the round. So slip stitching, close the round, just like that. Okay, now we're going to be doing cluster stitches, and we're going to be doing them between the puffs. So to do a cluster stitch, or to do the first one, because the first one will be a bit different from the rest of the 15, or the other 15, we chain up 2 to begin, and this chain 2 is going to act as part of the stitch. So we yarn over for the first one, insert hook between the puffs just there, so insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops only. Then again, yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops only. Then one more time for this one, yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. So see there, you've got 4 parts to the stitch. Then you yarn over and you pull through all 4 of those loops and chain 1 and chain another one, because we're going to be doing chain 2s between these cluster stitches. Okay, so for the next one and for the rest of them, for the remaining 15 cluster stitches, what we do is we yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert hook into the same place, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 only. Then again, yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 only, and then do that one final time into that same space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then you'll have 5 loops on the hook. Then you yarn over and pull through all 5, and then chain 2. And you'll do that for the rest of the spaces between the puffs, all the way back round. You'll have 16 of those. I'll meet you at the end of this round and show you where to go from there. Alright, now that I've done all 16 of those cluster stitches, it's going to look like that. And I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 2 at the beginning to close the round, just like that. So, slip stitching, close the round. Okay, now what we're going to do is, for the next round, what have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3. For round 4, we're going to chain up 2, and we're going to be putting groups of 4 stitches, 4 double crochets, in between all these cluster stitches. So it'll be double crochets, so between into those chain spaces. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 into that chain space, and just moving straight onto the next chain space along, another 4 stitches, another 4 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and you're just going to be doing this all the way around until you get to the end of the round, and I'll meet back up with you then, and I'll show you where to go from there. So now that I've finished round 4, I'm going to slip stitch into the chain 2 at the beginning. So slip stitch into the chain 2 to close the round, and then we're going to chain up 2 and begin round 5. So for round 5, we're going to be putting groups of 5 stitches between all the 4. So into that space between the groups of 4, we're going to be putting 5. And for the first one here, you're kind of going to angle the hook back and put it into that larger space just there. So we're going to be doing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. There we go. So groups of 5 stitches between all the 4s, so then you move straight onto the next space just along there. So straight in there, put 5 double crochets, so 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5. So you'll be doing this, and this is for round 5, and we're going to be doing the exact same thing for this round through to round 7. So 2 more rounds after this will be groups of 5 between the spaces. And yeah, like I said, for that first group of 5 at the beginning of the round, you sort of angle your hook back so you can get it into the space beneath the chain 2. That's not a problem. Okay, so I will meet you at the end of round 7 and we'll talk about where to go from there. Okay, so here I am at the end of round 7 and I'm just going to slip stitch into the beginning chain 2 to close the round. Just like that, slip stitching. Now don't pull that slip stitch tight because we're going to be using that slip stitch as the final stitch of round 8. So what we do for round 8 is we chain up 2, so 1 and 2. And we're going to be putting double crochets into every stitch around, but for every 5th stitch it's going to be 2 double crochets. So counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So remember, 2 stitches into the 5th one, so that's 2 stitches into the same stitch, just like that. And then moving on, do that the same for all the stitches around, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 stitches into the 5th stitch, so 5 and 5. So do that all the way around till you get to the end of the round, and I'll meet back up with you there and we'll talk about round 9. Now that I've finished round 8, I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 2 from the beginning to close the round. So slip stitching, and again don't pull that slip stitch tight because we're going to be using that final slip stitch as the final stitch for the end of the round, for the end of round 9. So once again, chain up 2, and we're going to be putting double crochets into all the stitches along. So don't put your first one into that stitch below the chain, put it into the next stitch along. So we're going to be doing a double crochet into every stitch with 2 double crochets for round 9 into every 6th stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 6 is going to be 2 stitches, remember? So 1 and 2 stitches every 6th stitch. So finish that for round 9, so go all the way to the end, and remember the last stitch is going to be that slip stitch just there. So you put 2 double crochets into that for the 6th stitch, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of round 9 and we'll talk about round 10. Here we are at the end of round 9, and once again we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 2 from the beginning to close the round, and once again we're going to chain up 2 for round 10, and again we're going to be putting in double crochets into each stitch along. Actually, I forgot to say, keep that slip stitch loose because again it's going to be used as the final stitch of the round 10. So keeping that loose, chain up 2 for round 10, and then double crochets into every stitch around, but 2 double crochets into every 7th stitch. So I'm not going to go through all of those stitches with you right here. You know what to do. So just count 7 along, 7th stitch, 2 double crochets. Do that all the way around till the end of round 10, and we'll meet back up and we'll talk about round 11. Alright, now closing round 10, we slip stitch into the top of the original chain 2 at the beginning of the round. Closing round 10, keeping that final slip stitch loose, and then we chain up 2 for round 11, and double crochets into every stitch around with 2 double crochets into every 8th stitch along. So that's going to be for the entire round, and I'll meet back up with you at the end and we'll talk about round 12. So every 8th stitch, 2 double crochets. Okay, now at the end of round 11 we slip stitch into the beginning chain 2 to close the round, keeping that slip stitch loose because that's going to be the final stitch of the end of round 12. So for round 12 we chain up 2, and once again putting the double crochets in all the way around with 2 double crochets into every 9th stitch for round 12. So double crochets all the way around, 2 double crochets into every 9th stitch, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of this round and we'll talk about our next step.